Good morning, all of you. In today's session, we are going to start with the 10th standard chemistry and physics. Unit number 8, chemical bonding. Series number 10 is going to be discussed. Earlier, we completed the concepts regarding the chemical bond formation with the various scientific aspects and what are the relevant examples with respect to ionic and covalent bond formation. So those topics were detailed explanation available in various series. In addition to that one, unit number 1 to 7 all are available on the channel called World of Competitive Chemistry. Now we entered into series number 10. So here this session is going to be discussing about what are the parameters which are explaining the covalent bond nature. So these are the properties which are exactly relevant with the covalent bond formation. Later, we are going to discuss about what are the main obstacles in the electronic theory of valency. These are the concepts going to be covered in today's session. Let us enter into our today's concept. Here, the covalent bond, how it will be originated by the sharing of electrons in between the combining or uniting elements or uniting atoms. If the electronegativity difference is very less, then mutual sharing of electrons are possible and the shared electrons becomes the common property of both the elements which are participating in the bond formation. We can say covalent bond is the directional in nature and there is a possibility of single bond, double bond and even triple bond. And we consider various examples with respect to homonuclear as well as heteronuclear atomic species in the bond formation. Now we entered into the relevant properties of covalent bond. Those are bond length and bond energies, which explains the nature of covalent bond. Here, bond length and which is alternatively known as bond distance, is the equilibrium distance between the nuclei of atoms which are forming the covalent bond. It is generally given in nanometers and also alternatively known as angstrom units. I am taking the simplest example. The atom A is uniting with B. So internuclear distance between these two. So here, the center to outermost shell, it is denoted as a radius, right? So radius of one atom Ra plus radius of second atom Rb, when combined, then it becomes a bond length. So this is simply denoted as internuclear distance between the two covalently bounded atoms is denoted as a bond length. The bond length measured in various parameters, the most important units are nanometer and angstrom. Bond lengths in nanometers are provided for carbon. If carbon participating in the bond formation with a hydrogen with a single bond, that will be a 0.1 nanometer. If sp3 hybridized carbon atoms are binding together, that is given as 0.15 nanometers, and 2sp2 hybridized, that means a carbon-carbon double bond. So this is the carbon-carbon double bond. If present, 0.14 nanometer will be the bond length. Here you can clearly observe that single bond to double bond formation, shrinking in the bond length, you can clearly observe. And when two sp carbon atoms are uniting, then there is origination of carbon-carbon triple bond. When carbon-carbon triple bond is there, still decreasing the size, that will be decreased to 0.11 nanometers in the bond length. You can clearly observe. That also measured in picometers. Carbon-carbon single bond length will be 154 picometers. And we mentioned in nanometers as 0.154. In terms of carbon-carbon double bond, 134 picometers, that will be 0.140 nanometers. And carbon-carbon triple bond will be 120 picometers. It can be measured as 0.118 nanometers. This kind of representation is possible for bond length. Again, I am defining internuclear distance between the covalently bonded atoms is regarded as a bond length. And bond energy. So the second parameter with the relevance of covalent bond formation is called bond energy. Here, bond energy can be defined with the two different parameters. When individual atoms are uniting to form a molecule, that is also called bond energy. When already existing molecule decomposed into individual atom, that is also denoted as a bond energy. In both the cases, the amount of energy required are delivered. So that is denoted as a bond energy. So here we have a slight variation, slight distinction between bond energy and bond dissociation energy. Bond energy is named as individual atoms when taken. Upon combination, they get converted into a molecules. Atoms, by the combination, they are uniting to give the molecule. In most of the cases, what happens with respect to atoms, the molecules will be more stable. That's the reason why their energy will be less. So obviously there will be release of energy is possible. Release of energy during the reaction is known as exothermic. The amount of energy released or absorbed during the uniting of atoms into a molecule is denoted as a bond energy. And the bond dissociation energy is defined as when molecule was taken. In order to cleave the bond, we have to apply certain amount of energy from the external source. That is regarded as a endothermic reaction, where energy required to cleave the bonds in turn converted into individual atoms. That is called a bond dissociation energy. How extent energy we are getting during the conversion of atoms to molecule exactly equals to bond dissociation energy, because for example here 150 picometer 150 kilojoules per mole energy got emitted during the conversion of starting material to product. In the similar manner, in order to convert the molecule into starting material, again we have to apply 150 kilojoules per mole of energy, because how we extend the energy liberated during the bond formation, the same extent can be required in the bond dissociation. So this is a kind of representation of bond energy. Bond energy, alternatively known as bond dissociation energy, is the energy needed to break a covalent bond. And even you may say energy needed to make a covalent bond between the two atoms, and the diatomic covalent compound in the gaseous state is denoted as a bond energy. So both are regarded as bond energy only. In order to make the bond, in order to break the bond, the amount of energy released are absorbed. So that is regarded as a bond energy. So here individual atoms are uniting, so that amount of energy liberated can be regarded as bond energy. Otherwise, existing molecule can be converted into individual atoms. That is also denoted as a bond energy. In both the cases, either energy will be released, called exothermic, energy will be absorbed, called endothermic. So that energy is denoted as a bond energy, which is also called as bond dissociation energy. Do you know? Here, we have certain parameters in order to convert one of the unit into any other. So representation of these parameters can be interconvertible. How it could be, let us see. An angstrom is the unit of the length is equal to 10 to the power minus 10 meters. 1 angstrom is equal to, here it is mentioned, 1 angstrom is equal to 10 to the power minus 10 meters. 0.1 nanometer is equal to 100 picometers. Here it is mentioned 1 nanometer is equal to 1 billionth of the meter. 1 billionth of the meter is 1 nanometer. And another representation is also there. 0.1 nanometer is equal to 100 picometers. And 1 nanometer is equal to 10 to the power minus 9 meters. 10 to the power minus 9 exactly is equal to billion. So that is, here you can clearly observe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So after the decimal point, we have 9 integer values. That's the reason why we can introduce 10 to the power minus 9 meters. This is the kind of system where interconversion of various units are possible, and all are the simple strategy for the representation of these parameters like bond length and bond energies. Angstroms, 1 angstrom exactly is equal to 0.1 nanometer. 1 nanometer is equal to 1 billionth of the meter. 1 angstrom is equal to 10 to the power minus 10 meters. 1 angstrom is equal to 10 to the power minus 1 nanometer. Here it is clearly mentioned. And 1 angstrom is equal to 100 picometers. So this is a kind of representation for the interconversion of various units. Now, let us see what are the obstacles or drawbacks of electronic theory of valency. till now we enjoyed all the fruits which are provided by the electronic theory of valency. Valency is nothing but the capability of the individual atoms in order to form the bonds. In other terms, we can represent number of electrons it able to lose, otherwise number of electrons it able to gain. That is also regarded as a valency. So here, valency of the individual element used to give the all kind of chemical properties of the element and a suitable position in case of a modern periodic table. But we can face a few obstacles during this electronic theory of valency. Let us discuss how many kind of possibilities for the disadvantages of this electronic theory of valency. First one, when covalent bond is formed between any two atoms, irrespective of nature of atoms, bond lengths, bond energies are expected to be same. This is because any covalent bond between any two atoms results result of mere sharing of two identical electrons. In order to share the electrons, both should be identical in terms of energy, identical in terms of electronegativity, identical in terms of their nature. Then only sharing is possible. If one is having strong tendency to gain the electrons rather than second one, what happens? A shifting of electrons are possible. That's the reason why, irrespective of atom bond length, energy, there should be a equal properties. Then only equality, that means sharing, mutual sharing will be possible. But practically, it was observed that bond lengths and bond energies of individual compounds are not exactly same. If you take the compound of chlorine, if two chlorine atoms get combined, then 199 picometers will be the a bond length between these two. But same chlorine when combined with hydrogen, the bond length is varied, that is 127. If hydrogen with the combination with another hydrogen, this is only 74 picometers. In this manner, you can't get the same bond length if we are changing the individual elements. This was not exactly explained by this electronic theory of valency. In all the cases, chlorine with one chlorine, hydrogen with one chlorine, hydrogen with another hydrogen, valency will be same. And here the atom, one of the atom is same, but another atom changed so that here bond length also varied. There is no clear-cut explanation for this variation in the bond length by this electronic theory of valency. This is the major obstacle. If we are taking different elements, their bond length properties. So, yeah. By changing the individual elements, bond length properties also changed accordingly. This is not clearly explained by electronic theory of valency. This is the main obstacle with this. And clear-cut representation of hydrogen with hydrogen, the bond length will be 0.74. Fluorine with fluorine, it got varied because elements got changed, so the bond length is also changed accordingly. 1.44, and even bond energy, their bond dissociation energy got varied. Hydrogen bond cleavage requires 436 kilojoules per mole of energy. In order to cleave fluorine molecule, 159 kilojoules per mole energy is required. In this manner, as we are changing various atoms, so that here their bond lengths and bond energies are varied. No two molecules are not having identical bond energies and identical bond dissociation energy. That depends upon various factors which are influencing length in between the two elements, and also in order to cleave the bond, variation in the energy is also possible. Various influencing factors will be there in order to define these individual distinct properties. That is not explained by this electronic theory of valency. Now, another drawback will be, what do you understand from the bond length and bond energies? As already we know that this is the table I collected from the EASE course, CBSE textbook related information. Thank you for your information. And the bond length is defined as internuclear distance between the two covalently bonded atoms is denoted as a bond length. Then what is a bond energy? Bond energy, which is represented in kilojoules per mole, nothing but the amount of energy required in order to break the bond which already existing in the covalent bond formation. Otherwise, the amount of energy which is required, amount of energy which is emitted during the combination of individual gaseous atoms into the molecule. So that is also denoted as a bond energy. So this is the table which represent the bond energies of various individual molecules. Bond length and bond energy parameters are provided to us. And one more drawback will be what the values are not different for the bonds between the different type of atoms. So here, if you are taking different bonds, different kind of atoms get combined, then bond lengths are varied or not. So here similarity will not be present extremely. No, they are not possessing similar kind of values. Rather, there is a distinct properties, distinct parameters are operating in order to explain the bond length and bond energies. That's why no two compounds will possess the similar kind of bond length and bond energies. That is clearly depicted in this table. Variation in the bond length values and bond energy values are depicted in accordance with the combination of various elements. Now, another obstacle will be the theory could not explain why beryllium dichloride BeCl2, the bond angle is 180, and we are taking boron trifluoride in boron trifluoride. Here we can take a fluorine boron fluorine bond angle will be taken as 120 only. When methane is considered, hydrogen carbon hydrogen bond angle is considered as 109 degrees 28 minutes. Here, ammonia molecule having hydrogen, nitrogen, hydrogen bond angle will be 107 degrees 48 minutes only. And when water is taken into the consideration, that is H2O, HOH bond angle will be 104 degrees 31 minutes. So here, individual molecules are having the various bond angles. The concept of bond angle not yet came into the picture for this electronic theory of valency. That's the reason why this is also the main obstacle. Why these kind of variation is observed for all the individual molecules. What could be the reason for this one also not clearly explained. Let us take the diagrammatic representation of all these molecules. Baridium chloride being it is a linear molecule, all the linear molecules are having angle of 180 because circle makes the 360, right? So half angle, half circle we are taking, that's why it will become 180. Move on to second molecule called boron trichloride. Boron trichloride is a triangular planar molecule with the three bonds. All bonds are laying on the plane, and the consecutive angle between the two adjacent atoms is taken as 120 degrees. Move on to third molecule called methane. Methane being it is tetrahedral in nature, all four hydrogens linked to the carbon are segregated into the four corners of tetrahedral molecule, and here the bond angle taken as 109 degrees 28 minutes. And move on to ammonia. Ammonia is also tetrahedral in general, that is called a geometry, but one of the corner of tetrahedron occupied with the lone pair of electrons, that's why we can say it will be a pyramidal in shape. And the consecutive bond angle between the hydrogen, nitrogen, hydrogen taken is 107 degrees 8 minutes. Here 109 to 107 there is a slight decrease in the bond angle. You can clearly observe for this ammonia, even though both belongs to tetrahedral in nature. And interestingly, when you go with the water, again it is a kind of system where tetrahedral geometry is imparted, but still it is not obeying that 109 degrees 28 minutes, which is a common representation for any molecule which exists in tetrahedral should obey 109 degrees, but exceptionally water is possessing 104 degrees 45 minutes bond angle, being it is a bent geometry because two of the corners on oxygen are occupying lone pair of electrons rather bond with any other element. That's the reason why we can say it is a bent geometry rather than a tetrahedral shape exactly. That's why here repulsions between the lone pair of electrons we can clearly observe. Here bond angle will be concise to 104 degrees 45 minutes. So these are the various exceptions which explained by the advanced theories later, but this electronic theory of valency fails to explain all these variations in the bond angles. So this is the second obstacle. Bond lengths, why there is a variation in the bond lengths, not explained. Bond angles variation is there, not explained by this electronic theory of valency. And it fails to explain about the shape of the molecules. So here, when you consider, move on to this beryllium dichloride. Beryllium dichloride, central beryllium surrounded by 2 chlorines, and it will be a linear in shape. And always it used to get the polymerization because of deficiency of electrons. So beryllium dichloride will be a polymeric in nature, and being it is a linear molecule. This is not explained by this. Why it is linear? There is no answer with the electronic theory of valency. When you go with the boron trichloride, central boron surrounded by 3 chlorine atoms in its vicinity, and why it is a triangular planar was not explained by this one. When you move on to this methane molecule, methane being it is carbon sp3 hybridized and surrounded with 4 bonds in the regular tetrahedral geometry, and why this methane existing in tetrahedral geometry is also not clearly explained. Ammonia, where nitrogen surrounded with 3 hydrogens, it is not here boron surrounded with 3 chlorines, here nitrogen surrounded with 3 hydrogens, but geometry is not exactly same. Boron trichloride is planar, whereas ammonia is a pyramidal in shape. There is a distinction between these two, even though number of surrounding elements are same, because one of the lone pair of electron resided on the nitrogen, so that it imparts a pyramidal shape for this ammonia molecule. Move on to water. Water surrounded with 2 hydrogens, and oxygen is occupied with the 2 more lone pair of electrons, and the bond angle expected is 109, but in general, in the practical sense, it will be 104 degrees only, and it is considered as a bent geometry. So the chemical name, scientific name of water is provided here. Dihydrogen monoxide is the scientific name of water, right? So all these are the various geometries which are imparted for the individual compounds, but this theory was not able to explain why these molecules are existing in this particular kind of geometry. By this, we completed the session series number 10, and we covered bond energies, bond angles, bond lengths, and why this what kind of obstacles are there with this electronic theory of valency. Later we will move on to another theory. After, in order to achieve the obstacles in this, a new theory was given by the new scientist, and we will enter into that theory in the next session. Thank you very much for your consistent listening. Hope this session will be helpful for your preparation. Thank you one and all.